Your bracelet, taken from the shadows of everyday life, passed from palm to palm, encircled by shamans from continents apart. None dared open it. Each one recoiled, haunted, as if the bracelet's secret reached back through lifetimes, searching for its true keeper. A click and a scrape. My hand ducks through the clutter in the attic's oldest box. I freeze. At the bottom is a leather bracelet, cool and solid, not the faded toy I half expected. Silver patterns coil along its surface, half letters, half branches, none I can name. "Look what I found," I call out, voice uneasy. Mom climbs the steps, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Is it yours?" She reaches but draws back. It feels colder than the rest. "Are you sure you didn't buy this on a trip?" She laughs, but her fingers tighten at the sight of the spirals. Sunlight slants over the work table, catching the etching in a pale, blinding glare. Dad stands by the window. He shrugs. "Old family stuff, maybe. Hand it over." He holds out his palm, but as I pass the bracelet to him, a faint buzzing prickles at my fingertips, making me flinch. Dad's grip falters. He stares at his hand, startled. No, that's not normal. I thought it was just metal." His eyes meet mine, concerned. "Doesn't it feel like it's watching back?" My little sister, always curious, tiptoes closer. "Is it magic?" she whispers, voice caught between excitement and dread. I want to joke, maybe, but the word dies on my tongue. Instead, I turn the bracelet over, the chill sinking deeper into my skin as I read the spirals again. Now they look almost like eyes peeking up. Grandmother hovers at the threshold, her gaze sharp. "Some things find us for a reason." She taps her cane. It belonged to someone who needed protection, or maybe someone with a secret. Her tone drops low. "I'd show it to shamans before anyone puts it on. These marks, there's power in them. Power and memory." All of us stand silent for a moment, the bracelet dangling from my hand, radiating a strange energy. I feel like something within it is waiting, patient, charged with stories too old to tell. I slide it into my pocket as the morning brightens, feeling every thread of the unknown hum beneath my skin. The silver etching winks in the sun, and that electric tingle remains, long after the shadows shift. The circle forms quietly beneath an open sky, the hush almost sacred as the shamans arrive one by one. Kenya's elder, her hair woven with shells and bits of ochre, touches the earth in greeting before settling cross-legged by the fire. From Mongolia, a man in a long blue robe places hand-carved runes in the grass, eyes narrowed in careful study. Peru's visitor drapes a woven sash across his shoulder, humming a low tune. He sets dried coca leaves in a swirl around his feet. The Sami woman from Lapland traces a pattern in the air with her staff, her reindeer bone pendant catching flashes of afternoon light. The bracelet rests at the center on a simple cloth, the leather glinting, silver marks shifting as clouds pass overhead. One by one, the shamans step forward, each with a different ritual. Kenya's elder fans burning frankincense over the bracelet, chanting softly in Swahili. "Every mark holds a spirit," she whispers, hands trembling just once, quickly stilled. She sits back, wary but resolute. The Mongolian shaman spins a small blue bead over the bracelet, eyes clouded. "This cord remembers where it's come from," he murmurs, voice grave. "It's carried old prayers and something else, something not said aloud." He looks up, meeting my gaze for an instant, then bows in respect and returns to his seat. The Peruvian softly shakes a gourd rattle, sunlight flickering gold on his face. Protection, maybe. But there is warning here too, he sighs. Such things rarely travel alone. The cord has chosen to come out today. His rhythm falters as he hands the bracelet to the next. The Sami woman closes both hands around her rune-stamped staff. Opening this isn't mine to do, she says, voice quiet as rushing snow. Some burdens belong to only one. Her fingers brush over juniper sprigs tucked at her neck. The scent drifts, sharp in the cool breeze. I stand at the edge, the weight of expectation settling in. Every shaman has a different way. Herbs, song, beads, runes. Yet when the bracelet is passed into their hands, each hesitates, shoulders tightening, eyes wary but respectful. Whispers spark in many tongues, glances darting toward me. An unspoken message lingers. Some secrets wait for the right hands, in the right moment. As the sun drops lower, the smell of tundra pine and burning resin swirls around us. A Mongolian wind lifts a loose strand of red cord, sending it flickering, alive. The circle of shamans holds steady, every posture a blend of caution and awe. I watch the bracelet, motionless at the center, and understand its journey is only beginning, and I have just been invited in. A slow breath ripples through the gathering as the bracelet rests untouched on the woven mat. The air feels tense, each shaman's gaze darting toward me, then the bracelet, then away. The Kenyan elder is first, hands steady, voice soft. She reaches but pulls back before her fingers meet the leather. "This is not for me," she murmurs, her shoulders tight. "There are gates I was taught not to open." Mongolia's shaman picks up the bracelet with thumb and forefinger, as though it's far heavier than it seems. He closes his eyes, lips barely moving in a prayer. After a moment, his head shakes. Flames behind closed doors. He warns, laying the cord back on the cloth. Some vows echo through more than one life. The one who must open it already knows. The Peruvian's hands tremble as he turns the bracelet, the silver spirals catching firelight. I see a crossroads. His voice cracks, rough but gentle. If I attempt it, I see a stone door, always locked. No ancestor gives me the right to go farther. He glances at me, apology in his eyes. The Sami's hands hover, almost as if to bless, then fall away. The spirit is restless. I hear a song but no words, a promise never spoken aloud. Her breath clouds in the cool evening. We're only guests. This was left for someone not yet sure they're ready. Each shaman touches the bracelet, carefully letting it pass from hand to hand, always resisting the urge to unfasten it, open it, or peer inside. Their movements slow, gentle, reverent. The circle is quiet. Candles flicker, the gold and blue flames reflecting off worried faces, shadows rising impossibly high behind them. One by one they return the bracelet to the center, each pausing as if to measure the cost of their refusal. Whispered confessions fill the silence. Visions of burning bridges, locked gates, thunder at the horizon, sorrow and awe, each tinged with relief. I watch, heart beating hard, as the circle closes. The bracelet now sits untouched again. Even without words, I feel the weight of possibility pressing inward. Legacy, danger, and maybe a key only I can claim. I reach out, then hesitate, unsure if courage will find me. The flames dance taller, shadows bend, and as the hush strengthens, I sense the test is only just beginning. Smoke curls in slow, uncertain spirals as the shamans glance between the bracelet and the scattered relics on the ground. The Kenyan elder crouches by a spread of carved bones, her fingers steady as she casts them with a practiced flick of her wrist. Each bone lands with a hollow clack. These lines here, See how the path breaks, then doubles back, she says, voice tight. It's a warning. The bracelet is at a crossroads, a turning point tied to unfinished promises. Mongolia's shaman holds up a crystal sphere, its surface clouded. He peers deep, brow furrowed as he murmurs to himself. I see a guardian, yes, but not watching out, guarding what must not be disturbed unless called by the rightful soul. His blue bead ring flashes as sunlight cuts through the clouds. A sleep, a trial, perhaps even a curse for those who pry with the wrong intent. The Sami woman runs her thumb along a strip of birch bark lined with runes. Her chant is a tremor in the wind, barely audible. The spirits say a soul call was issued generations ago, maybe when the bracelet was first sealed. She looks up, eyes watery but determined. A test of memory, but also of heart. The Peruvian shaman tosses a handful of coca leaves and studies their fall. This is not an ordinary protection, he says, voice rumbling. It's layered, a guardian spirit, certainly. But there's also something asleep. Only pain wakes it. Only acceptance returns it to peace. The group exchanges glances, grim but not hopeless. White smoke from burning juniper drifts above, sometimes curling into shapes that flicker between animal and human, dog and eagle, ancestor and seeker. The relics click and sway in wind, their patterns shifting faster now, as if urgency fills the ceremonial space. Each shaman brings their finding to me. Each method reveals a separate piece. Warning, guardian, ordeal, curse, but also a thread of hope. The bracelet doesn't just want to be unlocked, says the Sami woman quietly. It wants to be remembered, and its memory must be claimed, not forced. I take in their words, the runes and bones, the swirl of smoke, and realize unlocking the secret is not an act of power, but of humility. The sorrow in their eyes carries a silent encouragement. The way forward isn't for the bold alone, but for anyone willing to honor a memory, even when it's heavy with risk. Have you ever held an object that gave you chills, or felt as if it carried a story too big to tell? Share your story below. The moon rises high, tinging the clearing with muted silver. The air tingles, alive with a charge that makes every hair stand on end. Around the fire, the shamans assemble for the night's grand ceremony. Drums thump slow and deep, echoing off the distant rocks as the Peru shaman scatters crimson seeds onto patterned cloth. Incense coals glow beneath a pot, smoke curling in violet ribbons toward the stars. The bracelet sits untouched at the center of a woven tapestry, shimmering faintly as flames leap beside it. The Kenyan elder kneels and begins a chant in Swahili, her voice connecting earth and sky, sorrow and hope. The Mongolian, eyes shut tight, breathes out old prayers, tracing protective signs into the air. Every breath adds something: strength, memory, longing. They take turns singing and praying, their chants stacking and weaving, until the ground almost vibrates with meaning. It hears us, murmurs the Sami woman, her voice nearly lost under the rhythm. She throws a handful of snow onto the fire, filling the air with a hiss and a billow of fragrant steam. We call the ancestors tonight, not to control, but to remember. Everyone joins in, their voices layering with the heartbeat of hand drums and the hush of wind through pines. Blue sparks flicker where the fire touches the bracelet's clasp, orange light pulsing in time with the collective breath. For a moment, the air ripples with more than heat. A shape twists in the smoke, half animal, half shadow. Far off, unseen creatures call, echoing the patterns sung by the circle. The Peruvian shaman presses sand around the artifact, humming low. If any insight comes, let it be with kindness, he whispers. Before long, even the fire feels altered, each crackle a word, each spark a sign. The shamans sway and move, eyes shining with emotion, fear blended with reverence. The entire clearing is transformed, energetic, tense, suspended between worlds. The chant builds to a crescendo, voices, drums, and the wild chorus of night blending together. The bracelet glows faintly, almost as if answering from within. A moment of silence falls. Breathless, the group looks to the center, hoping the veil has shifted enough to let an answer through. Night air buzzes as flames whirl orange and violet across the artifact's surface, promising that between loss and remembrance, the first true glimpse of its story might finally be close. Night is a silent witness when sleep finally claims me. I feel the bracelet's cold edge pressed in my palm as I drift, a weight that hums against my skin, still pulsing with the last echoes of fire and ancient chants. I struggle to open my eyes in the dream, but when I do, I'm standing in a different world. The sky glows with lightning, and the ground beneath my feet is carved with spirals and faded words. A child's voice drifts to me, familiar, yet impossibly distant. Will you remember us this time? I look down. The bracelet gleams on my wrist, its patterns glowing brighter with every question asked. I turn, searching for an answer, but images rush past like wind. A battlefield ages old, banners torn and marked with the same silver spirals. Hands, some my own, some belonging to strangers, raising the bracelet skyward by torchlight. Distant thunder shakes the ground as I run through visions of faces, none quite mine, some weeping and others celebrating. A woman sings to the dead, her song woven with hope and warning. A warrior kneels at a tomb, whispering vows over a grave marked by the same twisted cord I now wear. The bracelet slips through lifetimes, traded in moments of fear, worn for protection, offered up in defiance or longing. Fire explodes across the dream's sky, a reminder that nothing in this vision is just memory. I see myself, older and young at once, always returning to the circle, never finding the center. The voices grow urgent. Are you ready to finish what we began? I hesitate. In the vision, I feel both chased and called home. The bracelet's pulse grows stronger, radiating heat and ice in equal measure. Lightning splits the darkness, illuminating a circle of ancestors, some waiting, some turning away, many whispering the same promise. You are why the cord endures. With that, I gasp awake, breathless. The air is thick, and my fingers ache from clenching the bracelet. I sit up, sweating but calm, overcome by a strange mix of dread and understanding. My heart pounds as I realize I have inherited more than metal or leather. I've inherited a series of choices and burdens passed down through generations. I clutch the bracelet, whispering softly, I won't run. In the silence, it seems to answer, warmth spreading up my arm, the patterns shifting as if in recognition. Somewhere outside, thunder fades, and the world feels changed. Has a dream or vision ever turned your view of yourself upside down? Tell us what you learned in the comments. The sand under my feet is cool, even in the dusk. Torchlight throws tall shadows as the shamans motion for me to enter the labyrinth drawn in spirals on the earth. I grip the bracelet, its weight electric, thrumming with every uncertain step. Kenyan elder meets my gaze, voice steady. Only you can walk this pattern now. Listen to what's whispered, even if you're afraid. I nod, palm sweaty, heart racing with a mixture of dread and anticipation. As I take my first step, the sand shifts beneath me, grains swirling outward. The Sami woman calls after me, "Keep your intent clear." The labyrinth tests the soul the way frozen rivers test the moose. Her staff lifts, silver in the fire's glow. I exhale and move forward, every stride echoing against the hush. Inside the labyrinth, the world narrows to movement, memory, and the cold press of the bracelet. With each turn, a whisper coils up from the sand, sometimes an old voice, sometimes my own, but changed. Are you the one to carry this burden? Will you remember, or will you run? I clench the bracelet, breath shaking. I'll remember, I murmur. Blue flames leap from runic stones at crossroads, dancing up, then vanishing, their light fierce and brief. Images crash in, friends turning away, moments of betrayal and hard-won forgiveness, the faces of ancestors behind shifting veils. Doubt rises, as if there's a cold wind moving through my bones. My knees threaten to buckle, but I keep going. This pain is memory, I whisper to myself. This fear is part of the path. At one corner, a shadow blocks my way. The Mongolian shaman's prayer echoes. Trust what waits in darkness. Only there does the story reveal its true shape. I close my eyes, feeling tears slip down my cheek. Then step past the shadow, the sand trembling. The wind dies. The bracelet warms in my grip. Halfway through, the labyrinth's twists grow tighter. I see a vision, myself holding out the bracelet, wind tearing at my hair, ancestors watching from a great distance. You are not alone, a gentle voice says. Maybe the Peruvian, maybe someone older. Let the circle complete. Each time I stumble, the Sami's drum beats somewhere behind, its pulse syncing with my breath. The blue flames fade, the air loosens. Finally, the center reveals itself, a clear circle, the ground flat and calm. I stop, chest pounding, the bracelet glowing gently now. Overhead, clouds part to reveal a slip of starlight. What do I do now? I ask, voice wavering. A last whisper, soft as smoke. Choose. In that moment, I understand. The test was not about unlocking secrets, but choosing to walk forward anyway. I bow my head, pressing the bracelet to my heart, feeling gratitude and resolve shriek through me. Behind me, the drums slow, shifting from fear to something steadier, hope, perhaps, or the beginning of purpose. My breath steadies. I raise my head. The labyrinth has changed, its lines glowing faintly in the sand, echoing the design on my bracelet. For the first time, I sense that the legacy I carry was never about winning or escaping, but accepting what came before and making space for whatever must come next. Firelight flickers as I stand in the heart of the labyrinth, bracelet pressed tight in my palm. The sand beneath me is still, the silence waiting. My heart hammers as I kneel, the leather warming under my fingers, silver spirals gleaming in the faint glow. I remember the voices, every challenge, every blessing, every whispered fear. I close my eyes and exhale, breath mingling with night air. My voice shakes. If this is what I've been given, then I'll carry it open. No more secrets. My thumb slides the hidden clasp. There's resistance, then a subtle click. The bracelet uncurls, not with violence, but with a gentle shiver. Inside, 3 tokens rest: a pale feather, a violet-coiled spiral, and a small stone glistening like a tear. Wind sweeps across the sand, rustling the feather in my palm. It glows emerald for an instant, then fades, a sign of protection, or maybe release. The spiral pulses in soft purple, shifting as I turn it over, shape never fixed, memory given movement. I lift the tear-shaped stone and gasp. Light dances within it. Gold, then blue, then crimson. Old maps blooming and vanishing beneath its surface. The air grows thicker, charged and bright. I hear the shamans' voices in the distance. Their songs, their calls, building and rising as if the whole world wanted to witness this choice. My ancestors, imagined or real, seem to gather around. Their presence is heavy but not frightening. It fills me with a sense of welcome, of circle completed at last. A sudden rush of energy cascades through my hand and up my arm. The bracelet, though open, feels lighter now, its burden loosened. The symbols within shift and change, never the same for more than a breath. They seem to tell me, this is what legacy is, not the weight of secrets, but the flow of truth, memory, and possibility. I close my fist, feeling the warmth settle in my bones. I rise, turning to face the edge of the labyrinth, first step shaky, then steadier. I move forward, open bracelet in hand. My gaze finds the shamans, who watch me approach with awe and pride. In their eyes, no fear remains, only quiet hope. The wind changes again, carrying the scent of juniper and flame. The night stands still around us, waiting. If you could unlock any one symbol from your past, a memory, a blessing, a warning, which would you choose, and why? Share your answer below. Wind trims the edge of the clearing as I step out from the labyrinth, bracelet open in my hand. The shamans rise, voices reverent, the air alive with energy that thrums from earth to sky. Kenya's elder presses a seed bead into my palm, dark, shining, the shape of strength. This will remind you that endings are only chances to begin again, she whispers, her grip warm with quiet pride. Mongolia's shaman kneels, taking a pinch of sand and blue cord. He weaves it around my wrist with practiced fingers, gaze soft. Threads connect, he murmurs. Now you are part of the pattern. Wear its comfort, but remember its promise. The Peruvian shaman clasps a carved feather, painted in ochre and green, into my other hand. We walk different mountains, but every summit needs a guardian, he says. When your courage falters, trace this feather and let your ancestors speak. Last is the Sami woman, who sprinkles colored sand in a spiral at my feet. We don't protect the world by clinging to secrets, only by sharing the walk, she tells me, voice steady as stone. Bring these gifts home, not as souvenirs, but as new vows. One by one, each shaman completes their ritual. Beads, feathers, carvings, they pass their symbols of courage and resilience to me. Firelight glimmers off their offerings as a gust picks up, swirling sand and colored strands around us. I glance at my bracelet. It pulses with faint warmth, changed by what it's carried. My choice, their hope, the echo of all who came before. In the moment's hush, the drumming slows to the pace of a heartbeat. I look to the gathered circle, no longer shaken but steadfast, honoring the journey we shared. The wind spins feathers into the air, mixing remembrance with promise. My place is clear. Not a keeper of secrets, but a thread woven into a wider, living legacy. Lanterns flicker on dusty corners as news of the ceremony drifts far beyond the clearing. By morning, word spreads among distant healers and hopefuls, a legend traveling on digital threads, whispered in marketplaces and sung by wandering children. In a bustling city square, a street mural blooms overnight. A bracelet painted in swirling silver, 3 symbols, feather, spiral, tearstone, woven in electric color along a concrete wall. The artist, eyes bright with wonder, steps back and shrugs. I dreamed of it glowing, she admits to her friends. It felt like hope, or maybe a warning. I just had to draw it. In a tiny mountain village, the bracelet's story filters through nightly tales. An old woman listens close, clutching her own faded charm. They say someone opened a secret, and now we all feel safer, she whispers. Yesterday, I was afraid to visit the cemetery. This morning, I walked through humming, and it felt like I was welcome there. Messages arrive online, voices from different continents claiming their nights filled with dreams of a shining bracelet, lighting up dark fields or guiding lost animals home. A teacher in Morocco finds a yarn circle woven by her students, blue and gold, wrapped around the class door. It just showed up, she laughs, and everyone feels brave today. Healers in Peru and Siberia send photos, a feather symbol scrawled in candle wax, a spiral drawn on snow. Friends in distant cities write to say they felt a sudden peace, or the urge to forgive an old hurt, as if the bracelet's opening loosened knotted things inside their hearts. People begin seeing the symbols in unexpected places, woven into clothing at a market stall, painted on lanterns for a neighborhood parade, chalked on the wall of a subway tunnel. Some pause, feeling an unexplained sense of comfort, a spark of purpose. It's as if the story released a ripple, and now the world leans in, ready for protection, forgiveness, and the courage to answer their own summons. I wake before dawn. The house is quiet, and the familiar world drapes itself in half-light, everything tinted new. The bracelet, the one that began with questions, rests snug at my wrist, changed now, yet gentle, humming in time with my pulse. As I move from the bedroom, each doorway catches the faint pattern of the sand labyrinth on the floor, lines flickering and bending with the tilt of the sun. In the kitchen, shadows stretch long before breakfast. My friend stares at me, head tilted, her eyes gentle but curious. "You seem different," she says, almost careful. "But more yourself, like something finally settled." I smile. "Hard to explain. It's quieter in my heart, that's all." During errands, I catch sight of my reflection in a shop window. The pattern on the bracelet glows faint at dusk, casting echoes across the glass. Doors I used to ignore, back gates, forgotten cupboards, now seem to radiate warmth at sunset. I pause, fingertips tracing symbols I'd never noticed embedded in their panels. Later, I hold the feather token and spiral bead as reminders of the vastness I walked through. All the prayers sung, the fears faced, the legacy accepted. Even standing in line at the market, I sense a subtle shimmer to the world. Conversations take on new meaning, and small daily problems seem laced with lessons in resilience. Ordinary becomes extraordinary, not because everything is easier, but because nothing feels random. There's purpose in every challenge, I catch myself thinking, even if it appears small. At home, dusk paints kitchen tiles in a pattern that mirrors the labyrinth's twists. I breathe, feeling steady, grateful. The bracelet, once heavy with secrets, now simply anchors me to memory, courage, and choice. When friends ask, I tighten the spiral bead around my wrist and say, I carry what I've walked through, and I'm still learning how to share it. Shadows settle, longer than before, but kinder. I look to the horizon, each new day echoing both the mysteries I unraveled and the ones still waiting, and I step forward, the bracelet humming softly, reminding me. Transformation isn't about leaving the world behind, but returning to it more awake. A thin chime drifts from the bracelet as dusk slips around the walls. I sit quietly, open notebook before me, The three symbols, feather, spiral, tear-shaped stone, resting easy in my palm. I trace each one, feeling the warmth they've gathered, the strength of every journeyer before me, the echo of every shaman's prayer. Awareness settles in the stillness. I am not alone, I remind myself, voice soft but certain. The path will keep circling, carrying every guardian and seeker who took a step through fear. I recall trembling hands, languages braided around fires, every silent vow made in sand and dusk. I thought answers would close the story, I whisper, watching the bracelet's markings shimmer in the last light. But all it does is open a wider road. Now awe hums alongside gratitude, holding this legacy as both weight and gift. In the hush, I realize, awakening must be protected, honored, and passed on, never clutched tight. A faint breeze carries the scent of burning resin and distant rain. My spirit feels both lighter and more anchored. I'll honor what called me, I promise, palm pressed over the open bracelet. And when the next seeker comes, I'll help them find their courage too. Chimes echo somewhere farther off, ringing softly, as if signaling the world to listen just a moment longer. I rise, walking toward the threshold, ready for whatever summons the future brings, knowing the bracelet's story and mine are forever joined. If this journey moved you, subscribe for more mysteries and let us know. What secret has life whispered only to you? Who do you trust to carry your story onward? 98, 100 marks.